she was right. I am dangerous.
Hey guys, so I'm so happy that you guys are loving the different kind of content and different videos I've been putting out in the last couple weeks. But I did start as a horror movie review channel, so I thought we'd get back to our roots today. So today we're going to be talking about Neon Demon. Okay, now I can get behind a weird movie sometimes. Generally, artistic films, these kind of movies aren't really my thing. I like a little bit more character backstory, and I don't necessarily like it when they focus more on the art of the film instead of the story develop. I don't know. Now, this is a very symbolic movie of like LA and just, you know, the whole Hollywood scene, you know, beauty is everything kind of thing. I feel like some of the symbolism was very in your face and some of it was more subtle. I can appreciate the in your face stuff because then the whole general audience would get it. Maybe it's just me, but I thought sometimes it was a little too obvious. And some of the scenes were just downright weird, so let's talk about it. So this stars Elle Fanning, Jenna Malone, Abby Lee Kershaw, which I thought was interesting. I don't think I've ever seen her act before, and she actually worked hands-on with the film as far as like making sure that the fashion world was portrayed accurately, and how an actual model casting would go down to like what was on the tables of the casting director. And also she taught Elle Fanning how to walk for the movie. Has an appearance by Christina Hendricks. Keanu Reeves is in it and plays like this really creepy pedophile guy. It's got some good peeps in there, some good actors, I'd say. I think my favorite was Abby Lee. A little bit biased though. She was one of my favorite models back when I studied fashion and was really into it. Okay, so this movie gets a lot of points from me for cinematography. It's very visually beautiful. Like, it's a stunning film. Very, very artistic though, so it's not going to be everyone's cup of tea. And the script was well written, I'd say, but the characters felt kind of surface level still, in my opinion. And I don't know if that was on purpose because it's Hollywood. People don't care about your personality or anything like that. So maybe part of that was intentional, but I didn't really like any of the characters. Like, none of them were likable to me, which you don't necessarily need that for a movie, but I don't know. I almost thought halfway through this movie too, I'm not gonna review this. This is not a horror movie. Things get a little weird, and then I was like, I'm definitely reviewing this. So that's my biggest criticism, I think, is that it doesn't start to become a horror movie until like an hour in, maybe even an hour and like 20 minutes in. Like, that's how long it takes to turn into a horror film, which it should not. First of all, the movie is so long, so long. There are some scenes that I genuinely don't understand why they were in there. For instance, when she comes back to her motel room, she sees something moving in her room, so she screams. She runs to Keanu Reeves, who's the motel manager, and says there's something in my room. He brings his little guy over with a bat, and they go in there, and it's a wildcat. Why is there a cat in her room? I'm sorry, what? Like, it almost, I thought it was gonna turn into a fantasy film at that point. They kind of explain it later how she left the back door open and so the cat got in. I guess they're common in LA, I don't really know. So some of the scenes were just very jarring in that way, where it was like, oh, so weird, so weird. So there's an RC runway scene that is the turning point pretty much in the movie, where she kind of starts to be affected by LA a little bit, and she doesn't necessarily turn evil, but she, like, that's a turning point for her in the middle of the film. I literally timed it because it was so long. It was the longest scene in the whole movie, I think. It was 5 minutes. 5 minutes, an artsy scene, just one scene. No script, no speaking. It was just her like walking down a runway for 5 minutes. I was like, this movie is so long already. Why would you make this scene so, like, they could have made it 2.5 minutes and I would have been a little happier. That's still really long. So that's another one of my biggest criticisms, other than the fact it takes an hour and a half to turn into a horror movie. Also, the scenes are at least twice as long than they need to be, because this movie already is long, and it's not even like they were reaching to make it a feature-length film. They had time that they could have deleted from it, and I don't know exactly why. I think they just wanted to hold on to the artisticness of the film, which I get. But as an audience, I don't know, maybe it's just because these kind of movies aren't my thing necessarily. I'm not like obsessed with them. They're cool sometimes. I can appreciate them for the cinematography especially, but because it's not really my thing, maybe I'm a little bit more nitpicky about the artsy scenes that are really, really long. I just wanted it to unfold more. I wanted it to progress more in the story, and I felt like it was lacking that so much until like an hour and 20 minutes. That's when the first horrifying scene starts, which I'll get into, spoilers in a second, and then it takes off from there, and the rest of the film's good. Like, I liked the whole, I mean, I didn't like it entirely, but from there on, it was like, okay, now I'm watching a horror movie. There's some plot unfolding here. So I don't know, the first hour and 20 minutes to me is almost pointless. Like, it's that like slow. It says you don't like any of the characters, you're not like rooting for anybody. Now I'm gonna get into a little bit of the spoilers and some plot points towards the end of the film, so tune out now if you haven't seen the movie. So I was having a conversation with my roommate. He said that there's symbolism of cannibalism, that it's a dog-eat-dog world out there, especially in Hollywood, and that if you don't eat, you'll get eaten kind of thing. Like, you gotta go for what you want, competition, blah blah, you know, that kind of thing. And I was like, so what about the scene where the girl has sex with a dead body? What is that? Like, I genuinely want to know if that's symbolic for anything. Basically, there's a lesbian character played by Jenna Malone. I think that's her name. I said it in the beginning, I can't remember. And she like hits on Elle Fanning, who claims to be 19 in the film, but she's actually 16. They just have her lie. So everyone's trying to have sex with her. She's underage. She says no to everyone, but it is kind of creepy that everyone, I mean, they don't know. She says she's 19. So she tries to have sex with her, and Elle Fanning says no. And so the next day, or she goes to work, and she's a makeup artist, and part of her job is putting makeup on dead bodies to make them look lifelike for the funerals. And she just has sex with a dead corpse. At first, I didn't think they were gonna go that far, but they did. They weren't afraid to be disturbing, which honestly, I liked that. I didn't like the scene because it was very like, it was so weird. Like, the whole film had been really slow, and then all of a sudden she's just having sex with a dead corpse, and I'm like, oi, this makes me really uncomfortable. The ending did get a little bit convoluted as far as like the plot. Like, it was just very weird. It was very strange because it just like escalated from that scene of her having sex with the dead body. It just kind of like took off from there, and that's how the whole movie, like, it was pretty fast paced for the rest of the film. So the girls, the three popular like pretty model girls, well, two of the model girls and the makeup artist, they're like a trio. They basically eat young models or young people in Hollywood to survive, and as soon as they do, they become more successful. So it's kind of that concept of tear down someone else so you can build up your career and get to where you need to be. So I appreciated that symbolism a lot, honestly. I thought the ending was very bizarre, and apparently this film was filmed in sequential order, so like the scenes were shot in sequential. Sometimes movies don't do that. And then the last scene I heard was improvised a little bit, and yeah, so I don't know, I thought it was overall a little weird. Probably wouldn't watch it again. I can appreciate it as an artistic film, don't get me wrong, but I felt like it was too artsy for me. Which, that's coming from me. This is all my opinion, of course, that artsy films aren't generally my favorite, so take my opinion with a grain of salt here. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Neon Demon down below. Leave some movie requests down below as well. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.